In this particular tutorial, we're going to be looking at a very basic sample calculation of finding a percent composition. The term percent composition usually means percentage by mass. If they want something else, they'd have to indicate what type of it. So in general, percent composition is what's the percentage composition of any kind of compound. So we want to break it down into its elements. In this particular problem, you are given the name of our compound, so the first thing you'll have to do is figure out what the chemical formula is. So we have calcium bicarbonate, so calcium symbol is Ca, bicarbonate is HCO3, and now we got to wonder about the charges and figuring out the proper valences. So calcium, we look on the periodic table, it's in the second family, so it has a +2 oxidation state, and we look at sodium bicarbonate, at bicarbonate, and it's a polyatomic ion with a -1. So we do our crisscrossing, and when we crisscross this 1, remember you ignore the sign, so the calcium gets a 1. The bicarbonate's going to need a 2. I need 2 bicarbonates to balance that off, so we set up a set of parentheses and put the 2 on the outside. So our formula for calcium bicarbonate, CaHCO3, 2. The next thing we need to know, since we were doing this by mass, we need to know what the whole mass is. So we need to find the molar mass, or the formula mass, the formula weight, of our calcium bicarbonate. If you remember correctly, if you go back, look at your notes, what we're looking at is we're just going to add up all the elements in the compound. So I have calcium, there's 1 of them. I look on the periodic table, calcium has a mass of 40. There are 2 hydrogens, 2 H's. 1 hydrogen has a mass of 1, so 2 of them has a mass of 2. And I'm just rounding these off to the nearest whole number for simplicity's sake. There are 2 carbons. Each carbon has a mass of 12 for a total of 24. And remember, the 2 acts as a distributor, so we have 6 oxygens, which gives you a total of 96. So the total mass of calcium, 40, plus both of the hydrogens, 2, plus the mass of carbon times 2, plus the mass of oxygen, 16, times 6. The total mass is 162 grams per mole. I want to know what the percentage of calcium is in this by mass. So usually set up a little table. It looks a little bit like this. I'll scroll all the way down. So I've got my percent calcium, hydrogen, carbon, oxygen. I'll scroll back up so we can see the full mass again. So how do you do this? Well, you just take however much calcium you have. There's 1 calcium, and you divide it by the mass of the whole molar mass. That's 162. Do your calculation. Your calculator will come up with an answer of 0.2469, etc. They want this in percentage, so you move the decimal over 2 times. I'm only going to round off to 1 decimal point, and we're going to call that 24.7% calcium. Do the same thing for hydrogen. There's 2 hydrogens with a mass of 1 out of 162. So it's 2 out of 162. Move the decimal over twice. This is 1.2%. Carbon, there were a grand total of 2 carbons. The 2 is the multiplier, 2 carbons. So it's going to be 2 times 12 over 162. Notice each time we're dividing by the molar mass. It's the part divided by the whole. That's how you find a percentage of anything. So 2 times the mass of carbon out of 162, 14.8%. Move the decimal, get that. Lastly, oxygen, 6 times 16 over 162, and you get 59.3%. Now, ideally, if we've rounded off correctly, we should get a number pretty close to 100. If you take 24.7 plus 1.2 plus 14.8 plus 15.3, sure enough, you're going to get exactly 100 as your answer. And I'll show you that. Let me bring the calculator screen in here. There, I added them all up. I get exactly 100%, which is exactly what we expected. Now, sometimes will you get 101 or 100.9 or something like that? Yeah, every once in a while you'll round off and there'll be a funny digit there. If you have any questions, see me in class. You need to see more examples, let me know. But basically, you're just taking the whole thing, dividing it by the whole. Thank you. Have a good night.